Hello, everybody.
What the hell was that?
That was the lead out, and it's like it's probably 15. Oh wait, oh wait. Always remember to mute the YouTube channel. For all of you new podcasters out there that decide to go on and do YouTube at the same time, you have to have 3 monitors, one screen for everything that you've got going on, but don't forget to mute that YouTube page. So, all right, here again. Welcome to Midwest Paratalk Radio. I am the G-Man. That is Deb. And we are here again on Thursday night, like we are usually every night around 9 Eastern, 8 Central. You can catch us on over on YouTube Live. So if you're not already there, because we are podcasting as well live. So yeah. So tonight we have a great guest, Lala Bright. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you've seen the intro that I posted out there. And so yeah, we can go on from here. Lala, why don't you first off tell everyone a little bit about yourself and kind of your background and where you come from.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on, by the way. I'm very happy.
I'm so glad you're here.
I am a weirdo that can talk and see spirits and other beings. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and my dad was like me, except he did Reiki. He called it healing of the hands. So he was very much my teacher throughout my life. When I would listen, I was very stubborn about the whole situation.
When I would listen.
But I hid from it most of my life, and a couple of years ago I lost my family, and I decided to stop hiding and to help people so they wouldn't be hurting. And I gave a reading to Bob McGuire, and that turned into a friendship, relationship, and business. And we moved in together, and he put cameras up. And I've gotten so much stuff. It's so validating because, it's one thing to say, hey, I saw this, but to have proof that you we've gotten EVPs. I know you got a good one.
Yeah.
Repeat after you recently, or they said the same word you said, something like that. We got videos. We get, sometimes they mess with the music, so it's very interesting. I like it.
We've had the beginning of shows. It hasn't happened this time to us because this is our second coming. But
with the resurrection, we've resurrected Midwest Paratalk after 7 years hiatus.
Yeah, it was a 7-year hiatus, but we did it for close to 8, 9, maybe 10 years prior to that. But
you think we're better than we are?
We're just rusty. We're older and we're more rusty. Tin man, oil can. I'm just saying. But there's been shows where, depending on really the topic, because if we start talking about UFOs and really getting into a discussion like that, we always have technical issues.
Wow.
Computer issues, audio. Wait.
Traffic on your commute looks good.
Computer, stop.
About 1 hour, 2 minutes.
My computer or my Alexa hates me because I named it computer. But anyway.
Brilliant.
I'm a genius. So but during like paranormal shows, we were doing one the first time around and came across, I don't know, 2 or 3 times where we've had EVPs while Deb and I were talking, getting ready to hit the intro to start the show.
Wow.
So, but Deb's the antenna when it comes to EVPs. I can hold my own when it comes to EVPs as well, but it just, you never know. Like I said, it's really odd depending on the topic of the show. If we start getting really deep, and I'm really surprised, like last week there towards the end of the show, that we didn't have more technical problems because we started really getting into the muck. But it came off without a hitch, luckily enough. But it just really depends. You could go to Walmart right now. Anybody could go to Walmart right now with the digital voice recorder and get an EVP.
Mhm.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
So while you guys when you set it up the cameras and you've gotten, you know, doing the shows and the music and stuff, are you finding, you know, EVPs coming across? Is it more like they're trying to have a conversation with you? Is it that it's just someone saying something?
So the one was my son's father. He passed 3 years ago, and it was his voice, and he said, "Hello, Xander," and that's our son's name. Because he liked to joke around and sound like a radio person for some reason. He thought that was really funny, so he would do that voice like "Hello," you know.
Right.
And then we have one machine where it spells out the words and says the words, so you don't have to like listen for it. It'll just say it. I forgot what that's called, Ghost Box or Alpha Ghost or something.
Right.
But a lot of that's warnings, and it gets a little creepy sometimes. It'll say mirror, knock, save yourself, and then we'll hear a fucking knock on the wall by the mirror.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude. So I turn it off. I'm like, okay, thank you. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Now shut up.
I wanted something a little more positive, but that's okay. You know.
Right.
You post a lot of videos on your Facebook, and I always love to see them. I don't know. Do you meditate before you try doing something like that, or do you just get a feeling and then, you know, like I think I'll record. I got a feeling that, you know.
I get a feeling. My attention span, I can't handle meditation, although I do try. But I get this feeling that, you know, when you go into a room and nobody's there, and all of a sudden you feel somebody watching you, you turn around, there's somebody there. That's what that feeling is. And so I'll take a picture or a video or whatever we do, and it's always right next to me. I've gotten used to it. Used to scare me quite a bit, but I've gotten used to it over the year. I've really been doing it. And I mean, I've seen orbs with my own eyes. I'll start talking to them sometimes. And I'll just say, "Can you show up, please? You know, I have good intentions. I'm not recording." Because sometimes I feel like maybe they get upset that I always want to record. So when I say that, they'll show up. It's usually over my neighbor's roof. A lot of orbs and weird stuff goes on. But yeah, we've seen crafts, we've seen spirits, we've seen orbs, and like smoke figure. It's smoke with a face. I don't really know what that is. Do you guys?
We've got a couple of smoky apparitions in video and photographs. So I think it's a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's.
I think that might be the technical term for it, Deb. It's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm not a professional. I don't know. I'm just messing around with stuff.
Sometimes it just is what it is. It's just spirit. I mean, shadow figures are just that. I mean, they're more solid. They have arms, legs,
They freak me out.
wings.
Yeah, they kind of freak me out too. I prefer the smoky, misty stuff to the shadow people.
I've seen two shadow people in my life. One came out of a portal. It was just a bright light that got real tall, and it slid out and went across the wall into a darker room. And then years later, another one kind of flung around up on the ceiling and behind me. And my big ass ducked to the ground. Now, you know something's wrong if I'm ducking to the ground, you know?
That'd be me. And everybody around me would be like, "What are you ducking for?" Because nobody else can see it. But usually mine are just floaters.
Yeah.
You know, I'm swatting at stuff and it's in my eyeball. Dumb old lady. But anyway, do you I don't know. We met in March of this past year.
Yeah.
And I had so much fun talking to you. And I told Greg earlier before you came into the studio, I said, there's something about her that reminds me of me when I was young. And Greg's like, she doesn't remind me of me at all. but
Sorry.
I don't know.
It might be
Just
facial hair. I don't know.
I feel like I get you in a way. So that's why I was so happy when you said you'd come on. And I have like 8 million questions in my head, and right now all I can't think of any.
I have a question for you guys, actually.
Sure.
I have experienced just once in my life water bubbling up on the floor, and then a second later, completely dry. Are there water spirits, or was that a poltergeist? Because other weird shit was happening too. So,
There are water spirits.
what are they?
Well, it
for?
would be more. I think it'd be more on an elemental spirit.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have the 4 elements. You have 4 elementals. So earth, fire, wind, rain.
Okay.
You mean earth, fire, wind, and water? Okay.
Rain, water. It's the same damn shit. Come on.
I have now. You know, it's funny that you would say that because I haven't seen any on the floor like that.
Mm.
But I have. I've had it. You know, I have a concrete driveway, and it's a dry, sunny day. You know, and hasn't rained in a long time. And then I'll go out there, and there'll be like 4 or 5 circles that are wet.
Yeah.
And I've taken pictures of them before. And when I lived in the house on Washington Street in Indianapolis, right in the heart of the paranormal, when the activity was high for me, between like 83 and 93, 95, in this one house that I lived in. Well, actually, it happened in my apartment too. I'd be walking, and it was only me. So I'd be walking down the hallway or go in the living room or whatever, and I would be hit right here in the forehead with the drop of water, a big drop and a wet drop. And I mean, it would run down my nose, and there would be no water anywhere. And it would just be out of the blue. And my ex-husband started to call it my baptism. I don't know. Right there. So I have had a little experience with water.
I wonder why they come around.
I would be interested to know if there were ley lines in or around where you're seeing that. If the structure of the chain is at your house, at your apartment, your dwelling.
It was in Florida, and well, okay, honestly, a lot of bad things started to happen. The neighbor offed himself. My dad died from an accident. Then later, my mom died. Boxes would like go on top of each other so that I couldn't go through the doorway. The cat started attacking me when she never did. It was just really weird, all at once, and all this other stuff. My friend, she got a call from me in the middle of the night when I was sleeping, and the voice wasn't mine. It was like a creepy, growly voice cussing at her.
Wow.
And I looked at my phone, and I had called her, but I was asleep the whole night. So that I went back to Maryland. It's terrified me. You know?
Wise move.
Yeah.
Like, no. Yeah, just a pissed off spirit is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was weird.
I really try to go the long way around the block before I actually say demon. I think 99% of what we've seen and dealt with has just been an asshole ghost. You know,
right.
I mean,
if you're an asshole when you're alive, you're going to be an asshole when you're dead. Death doesn't make you all love and light. You're still you.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it could have been, I mean, anything. Like I said, I mean, with the water thing, I would think elemental. I would think that possibly whatever structure, or I mean, even the whole block could have been on a ley line.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, people people like to say, "Oh, I love the little fairies. They're so cute." That's really not fairies. That's Disney. But they
Right.
can be. They're tricksters, and they're mean and they're nasty,
Trying to
and
gnaw your foot off in the middle of the night kind of
you
thing.
know, yeah,
If they like you, they'll bring you, you know, a little gift
like
to play
crows. Yeah.
around. It just depends on
That's
what kind of
true.
mood
Yeah,
they're in that day, you know.
Mhm.
But
that's true.
somebody like you, though, I mean, you've had this kind of gift your whole life, so you're
Mhm.
probably like me, like a bug zapper in the dark. You're really
Right.
they see you and
Yes.
you attract a lot of stuff,
Mm,
good
immac
and
yeah.
not good sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every so often, I used to do it quite a bit this whole year we've been here living together, but I kind of backed off a little bit because it got too addicting for me. I just really enjoyed it too much. Probably it took up most of my day. So every once in a while, I'll get in front of the camera, I'll turn the lights off, and I call them energy beings because I don't want to make them mad and call them the wrong thing. I don't know. They might get offended. And they still, I mean, the other night I called them and they started flying all around me. It's nice. I don't know why.
You
We're
know, the
like,
ones in your room,
yeah.
do
Yeah.
you feel can you feel that energy around you? And
It
if so, what
feels
does
like
it
a
feel like?
tickle. It
Is it?
does. Yeah. Not all the time, but there's certain ones, especially the ones that blink, they give off a tickly feeling. Like just like a little, you know.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I know some of them are my family, but sometimes there's a lot in the room. If I go away and I come back, there's a bunch of them that come. And it's interesting. It's kind of like puppy dogs, they get excited.
Uh,
But yeah.
well, that's good. They're happy to see you.
Yeah, we've had
Right? It could be the whole other side of the spectrum on that.
Mm.
I mean,
well, there was one, it was a black mist that it was down in the basement quite a bit, and no other orbs would go near it. And then sometimes it would go out front of that camera. And we were having nightmares, just weird things were happening that we didn't like. And so I saged and the other things that you can do, and eventually it left, and we haven't seen it since.
Good.
But yeah, I guess it was with the house, I think, and it was in that basement. But yeah, sometimes there's things that we don't like too much. So.
right. Well,
Does Bob see him, or does he feel it when he's in there? Or is he in the room with you when you do that?
Yeah, he doesn't really feel it. He's usually falling asleep when I'm doing it. So.
Bless his heart. Hey, tell him I said hi.
But he enjoys the outside orbs better
Mhm. Yeah.
because he likes the aliens and all the other interdimensional beings more so than spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. But he's
Mhm.
getting more into it. So
You've had experience with a extraterrestrial or alien, the alien side of paranormal. You've had experience with that as well, right?
yeah, I've had a lot of missing time. Most of my life, okay. When I would have experiences with aliens or crafts, first of all, I would forget a lot. And also, I would have what I call alien Xanax, where I would just totally be okay, too calm for seeing like a UFO or too calm for experiencing things. And it would make me not want to research it or look into it until
Mhm.
recently. And I realized I had quite a bit of missing time. I wake up quite a bit with weird bruises on me. Um, I've seen a craft. It was over I was driving home and a helicopter shined its light on a cloud at night and I saw the underneath of this massive craft. It was dark black metal and it looked like these really big pipes intertwining with each other, which I found weird. You know, I wouldn't expect that, but they were so wide that they were as wide as the body of the helicopter. Like they were big.
Wow.
And it was just sitting there. And I went under it, and I don't remember driving home or anything after that. And here we have a video of some type of alien going up the front porch with like this weird foggy mist around it. And the next morning I woke up with like a triangle bruise. So it's just weird. It's what I've noticed is they get really active, and then once I wake up with a bruise, they go away for a while. And then when they get active again, I know I'm going to get a bruise soon.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I have an implant in my leg that I found out by accident. So I think this has been happening most of my life. I don't know why, you know.
Mhm. Sorry. You've been what where at on your leg? Just curious.
It's my left leg towards like a bottom of a pocket on your jean, right
Mhm.
that area.
Okay.
And I mean, I noticed it a little over 20 years ago, but I'm sure it was there before. And there's no scar. I never fell, nothing.
Yeah.
And it's the
Wow.
size of a piece of rice. It's really small. So I'm somebody's pet, I guess. I don't know.
I always say I'm somebody's science project, and that kid got a D, I guarantee you.
That's kind of highballing, though, right?
What?
Nothing.
Shut up. Just not. I'm getting a hip joiner. Oh,
Oh wow.
sorry.
You know, though,
What happens when old
whole,
people?
the whole implant thing is that I've seen and heard multiple stories where implants are on like the front of the shin, about midway up. I have a relative that has a big spot on the front of her shin. And I really didn't put two and two together, of course, until I met Deb those years, several years ago. And we had conversations about stuff like this. And it's like, okay, well, and I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, now it makes sense. Because, I mean, it seemed like she wasn't herself at all with that implant on her leg. It's like one point she was okay, and then the next just batshit crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was intense. It was an intense, quick transformation.
Huh.
But yeah, I don't have any weird things in me.
Do you have any scoop marks? I have one here. A lot of people do, and they don't know.
Have a what?
A scoop mark in your skin. Supposedly, that's a sign that you've been abducted.
I have one on my shin.
Oh,
I
have a circular something like around in here, but that's it that I can think of. Everything else is all self-induced because I'm clumsy.
I think they do this to a lot more people than we're aware of. And I think they've been doing it for a long time. I think people that it's happened to somehow kind of are drawn together eventually, or at least cross paths eventually. It's almost like a knowing without knowing. Just things align for a reason. I don't know if we're hybrids or what we are, but it's definitely something.
I think experiencers are on a different level of basic consciousness. I think that is my input. Am I really low?
No, you sound fine.
Okay. I think that when someone has something of that level that happens to them, it kind of wakes up something in their head. And I don't know if it's like a gathering, for lack of better terms, but I think it's something's going on and I have to find out why. And then it leads everybody together. So is it an unconscious gathering? It may be, but I do think that, I mean, just like anything, like minds are going to end up finding each other anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and fortunate enough, that's kind of how Deb and I had gotten together and started stuff, paranormal, and her kind of teaching me about UFOs.
Yeah, and Greg teaching me about the paranormal, because I was a UFO investigator for MUFON. So, but yeah, Maggie says gathering's a great way to describe it. And that, I feel like we're all, we've been awakened, and it's our natural, it's a part of our awakening to connect with other people. We
Right.
form this network, and with each new strand of the spider web, we get stronger, and this network, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So something's happening here. I mean, definitely. I'm sorry, I'll never sing again. Shut up, Greg.
Look at his face.
He was trying to sing earlier, and that's what got me started. But anyway, something's happening here on some different level that, so I understand I get what you're saying.
I think I noticed a lot more activity with spirits and other beings. I mean, people are seeing a whole bunch of shadow people. They're seeing a whole bunch of ghosts. They're seeing a whole bunch of crafts. They're seeing a whole bunch of portals. We got videos of that too. I mean, so I think something's going on. I just don't know what yet. But that's part of what we're trying to figure out is what is going on. Why is it so much now? Is it why they're trying to slowly tell us the truth about things we didn't know before about aliens and other stuff? Because they know something's coming. I mean, people have been seeing 2 moons and 2 suns recently, and then all of a sudden airplanes with chemtrails will go over it. I mean, people all over the world have videoed this, so something's coming.
And a lot of people have been here. I know I got a friend that lives not too far from you guys in North Carolina, and he's heard some of those sounds that you hear on the internet, that sound like trumpets.
Yeah.
He's heard that, right over there in your neck of the woods on that coast recently.
I heard it once, but it was a couple years ago, and it's just the oddest sound. I don't know what could naturally make something like that.
I don't either. It would have to be really big. I mean, it's like the whole planet spinning in the space, to be that kind of big.
Sorry about the conspiracy. I like conspiracies. So.
No, something's definitely going on. What it is, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got theories. There are a million of them. Nobody actually really knows 100%.
Exactly.
But you go what feels right to you, because it's like we're all taking different paths, but we're all headed to the same destination.
Right.
So.
Exactly. I'm just glad my the energy beings that come to visit me, they know that I'm kind of special, and it takes a while for me to catch on to things, and they'll literally help me. They moved a camera to where I was supposed to look for me because I wasn't getting it. So they're helpful,
Yeah.
I can hear it. No. God damn it. Would you just go move it? All right, hold on.
Yeah. So we got video of it too. I mean, it's amazing.
Where do you have I know you do the podcast. When is your do you have a website also? I know I'm on your Facebook page, but I just was curious. Do you have a website too?
I do for readings, and I make organite pyramids and stuff like that. It's lalabrightllc.com. And so I like making organized, very relaxing, but it's also, there's a science to it. It really can help if you make it correctly. So I'll post them on there, and people contact me for readings because this year, especially, a lot of people, now that they know I speak to other beings besides ghosts, they come to me when they've had abductions. And the only thing I really do is it's validating. I'll say what I see, and they go, "Oh my God, yes, that really happened to me," or "Yes, that's where my scar is from what they did." So
Mhm.
it's kind of a healing thing. That's all I can really do in that situation. I can't connect them to those beings.
Mhm.
Even if I could, I'm not sure if I would want to, just for
Yeah.
safety reasons, or I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing with that situation. So,
How do you do a reading? Like my little sister does readings. Sometimes she uses cards, or some people scry. Do you have a particular method that you use to do it, or?
a lot of times I like reading eyes, so
Yeah.
I'll get a close up of somebody's eyes, and I can read first it's them, and
Stop. Not you, Lala. That guy up there.
and the or people around them, and people have passed, and then it kind of like different doorways to it goes deeper and deeper. But that's what I prefer. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I don't do meditation or anything for that. It's kind of like just calling somebody on the phone. I think of them and connect. It just takes a couple minutes. So
So you kind of get their vibe, and then everything kind of opens up to the point where you can get into their psyche and get those readings.
yeah, I mean, I'll feel health issues. I was doing a reading for this was a couple years ago when I didn't protect myself, and I was doing a reading on someone who passed away, but she suffered from a really bad hernia. And during the reading, all of a sudden I break out with sweat, and I don't really sweat; it's just beads. And my stomach started to hurt. I go to the doctor the next day, and she's like, "You have a hernia. What did you lift that was heavy?" And I couldn't say, "Well, I was talking to a dead person," right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that that could happen. I didn't know I could get what happened to them. So that was interesting.
Yeah,
That's
I've never heard. I've heard of people that, like, if they do a reading and someone passed from a heart attack, they'll have pain in their chest, but they don't actually have a heart attack. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah. Lucky me. It's great. So talented.
Lord have mercy. I'd be scared to do readings.
I took a couple months off after that. It scared me. It did.
What do you
Right.
do to protect yourself now before you do one? What do you do?
I just this is what my dad told me to say is surround yourself with a bright light or a white bright light, whatever color you like. It's you're imagining it, so you're creating it.
Mhm.
And I asked my family for them to protect me because I know my mom would definitely. She's from New York, so she would definitely kick somebody's ass in the spirit world for me. So that comforts me. But I just asked for protection. That's all.
Some people have rituals or do certain things. That's why I just was curious.
Yeah. But
I'm catching
what is
your.
huh?
I'm Greg. I'm catching your cooties.
hey, I don't. Hey, I am cootie free right now. I think you will.
Sorry.
What is the craziest? This is what I like to ask. What's the craziest experience you guys have had with paranormal or whatever?
Gee,
Oh, I mean, 83 for you, Deb. Come on.
of course. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 65 years old almost. There's a whole lot of crazy up in here. um, Together, Greg and I don't know. I think maybe this Davies house thing we just did not too long ago when we got that EVP, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
one that you referenced earlier, Lala. The one.
Okay. Yeah, that was neat. Did you guys go back to that house after that or no?
No, we
No.
haven't been back.
Oh,
It is what, like 10 minutes from Deb. I live about 4 hours south of Deb.
Yeah, I wish we originally lived closer, You know, he was in basically Indy or south of Indy, right? And I was like up here just north of Indy, but now we're farther away. But still, you know, the Davies house is here in Kokomo, and I just saw a post that said they've closed permanently.
Yeah, that was one of the things that the deal kind of fell through.
I kind of thought I was kind of wondering about that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was that was pretty good. And then we also had a really good investigation. Well, gosh, we've had a couple.
We've had quite a few. I mean, I can't pinpoint exactly one thing that is like mind blowing. I mean, I've had so much stuff happen to, not necessarily happen to me, but happen around me. I mean, I'm standing in the loo going to the restroom, and the storage closet in the men's restroom, the door slams open and hits the wall. You talking about scaring the piss out of you?
That actually did, right?
It did. I'm not gonna lie. That same night, Deb and I saw apparition get up out of a seat. We were in a theater. Get up out of a seat and run around out into the lobby. And as it ran into the lobby, it moved the camera, so we got validation there. Let's see. We were on an investigation where, and at the time I was still a stinky smoker, and we were taking a smoke break, and it was probably 3:10, 3:15 in the morning. So, and we used walkie-talkies. All of our walkie-talkies were on the countertop in the client's kitchen. And we come back in, and all of the mics are on, or all the radios are on like channel 1, but only one mic or walkie keys off, and it's a little girl's voice, and she goes, "Hello, everybody."
I mean, like totally like she was just a kid voice there. No pareidolia. This was like, "Hello, everybody." And I'm like, what?
I would have crapped my pants.
What?
Kid
have you been on a pair? I'm sorry.
Okay.
You go.
I was going to say, everybody in the investigation was standing right there with us.
Yeah. Yeah. There was nobody that was with us. And we were kind of out there, and it was like 3 a.m. There's no way a little kid was, and those walkies didn't have much of a range either. They were just, little Midlands. But I was going to ask you, have you ever been on a paranormal investigation?
Yes. Me and a couple high school friends. We were way out of high school, so it was a few years ago, but we went to Ellicott City in Maryland, which is a very haunted area. And we went to an abandoned building. And right away, I got the feeling like we shouldn't be here. This is not going to turn out well, But we got lots and lots of orbs. We kept hearing this footsteps right next to us, like somebody was. And that's what scared us, because it was dark at night in the middle of the woods. And anyway, we get back in the car, and my one friend and I, we both say at the same time, somebody's going to call your phone. There's an emergency. And a second later, the phone rang, and it was a woman's voice crying. And then it went to static, and it hung up. It was the weirdest thing. It was just freaky. We never did it again, needless to say.
I would love to go on a paranormal investigation with you somewhere,
That would be awesome.
We like to go, and I've been on paranormal investigation before where they brought a medium or psychic with them, which is fascinating. And there's Greg, what is that new thing that they do now, that the kids do now, where they blindfold someone?
Yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like that?
I don't like that. What it is, they go into a room and they put on noise canceling headphones and blindfolds.
Okay.
Just on one person.
It's hooked up to a ghost box, and the people around them will ask questions, and the person that's kind of encapsulated in their own head are they're basically, to me, they're basically by themselves, and they're going off the readings and repeating what's going on the ghost box. I don't much care for that because I feel like that leaves the investigator pretty vulnerable,
Right.
you know. But they're doing it now, and you know, what do I know? I've only been doing it for 20 years, so
Yeah.
but
Careful.
yeah, I mean, and that's the bottom line. It's not being careful, and somebody's going to get hurt. But to me, and then this is just my own opinion. You know, you other investigators, whatever you know you want to do with your groups, that's fine. I just don't feel like being isolated. It's like going into a haunted location by yourself.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Same principle.
Right.
You don't have any backup. You don't have anything but yourself to rely on. And if you're inexperienced, you're opening up a door to something pretty nasty.
Right. People don't realize that. It's
No.
real.
Yeah. And, you know, it's for some teams, you know, oh, it's a joke. I mean, we're just running around with flashlights and playing investigator.
I call them adrenaline junkies. They want to scare themselves. That's why they do it. They don't really care about the data or the information or learn
Right.
things.
Right.
They just want to get jazzed up on adrenaline.
Right.
Yeah. They'll get it eventually, and they're going to wish they did.
I know, right?
Right. But, yeah, I mean, I have so many stories of places that we've been, and most of them has been with Deb.
No,
Sorry. That's what you get for hanging out with me.
I know, right? I don't know how I've made it all these years.
What is your craziest story, ma'am?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Well, can I say? I think I told you the one. Can I say? I'll say it appropriately, I guess.
You don't have to. I own the place.
We're not appropriate.
Okay.
Just do you.
All right. Well, the first one is my parents moved into. I had a house built, and it was on Indian battleground land, and it was in Sparrows Point. They really shouldn't have done it. A lot of creepy things happened in the house, but there was one. That's where I saw the shadow person hop out of the light on the wall, the light portal. Anyway, I had a cat named Farley because I had a crush on Chris Farley, so whatever. Anyway, my cat Farley was playing with this. I couldn't see it. Something on the wall kept jumping, and he started running around, and all of a sudden he ran his head into the metal pole, and he knocked himself out and passed out. That was not like Farley at all. And I knew something tricked him into doing that. And I made the mistake of saying, don't mess with my cat. If you want to mess with somebody, mess with me. And well, it did. The clothes in my closet started to sway. I felt things sitting on the bed with me. This black weird mist would go through my hand. Real creepy. I moved out eventually. And it stayed in the home, thank goodness. And they moved out. My parents moved out eventually. But the other one was, I don't know if this was a ghost. Bob thinks it's a reptilian. I don't know. But I was alone in the house one time and I was sleeping. And I woke up and something was being extremely inappropriate with me to the point where it felt real. And nobody was there. It scared me. My legs were closed. I didn't know how this was happening. You know what I mean? And I kept it to myself for years because it scared me and I felt crazy. I didn't understand that other people had gone through this before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably the two most creepy experiences I've had. But I've had a whole bunch, but those were the two.
That's an incubus.
I was trying to remember whether it was succubus or incubus. I always get the two confused.
The succubus is the female version, and the incubus is the male version.
And the rock band, they're good. Succubus.
I just actually listened to them today. That's funny.
They're good, yeah. But
yeah.
do they go away after a while, or do they hide? Because that's always a fear that it's still around.
I mean, it really
I don't
depends.
I don't know that much about them, so I mean, I've
There-
heard about them. But
People say that it's a location with an incubus or a succubus. Some people say it follows you around. Some people, I mean, nobody honestly, I think, really knows. And I don't know that I can give you an honest to God, yes, this is a definite answer to that question. Um, I think it's just one of those things that either it can or it can't. I think if it's stuck to a location, it can follow you for a period of time, but
Mhm.
as it's away from its home base,
Right.
starts losing its energy and then has to go back to the original location.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would have, when I moved, I had a lot of really creepy dreams with, it was a man with just white in his eyes. So no eyes, just white. And sometimes they would flicker up and down, and it scared the crap out of me. Or like I'd have a dream of a coyote on my back porch. I'd wake up, at the time I smoked cigarettes, I'd wake up from a bad dream, go on my back porch, and there was a coyote on my porch really looking at me. And we
Mhm.
didn't have coyotes where we lived, so I'd never seen one before. So it was just weird crap that would happen. But then when I moved, it eventually went away. So
it was
Yeah.
probably attached to the location more than it was to you then.
hmm
And a lot of hauntings are like that. Um, with the history of the land, with the history of the house, you've got people that in a like the Poltergeist movie, in that scenario where they've built a house over cemeteries, or they've built a house over Indian burial grounds or Indian land, period.
right.
You have problems. I know a guy, his name is Bill Burns, and he had problems as a teenager. I mean, a hundredfold. I don't know how he made it. And once he moved away from the location, his problems more or less stopped.
Mhm.
But I mean, they were in the perfect Indian burial ground, water stream in the back, courts in the ground. I mean, he had the trifecta of your ass is going to be haunted no matter what if you stay in this house.
And I think water is kind of a conduit too, I
Yeah.
mean, when you have a lot of water, if you have a body of water around, or you have an underwater stream, or underwater reservoir, I think that it magnifies and can be a conduit for all kinds
Yeah.
of energy,
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
which
Totally.
goes back to your little water, the thing you said earlier about having water. Maybe it has to do with some kind of energy,
Yeah.
like
It's
that.
interesting. Is there, so I guess they pull energy from it, maybe?
Or they use it to travel through, you know what I mean? Like
They can,
like a conduit, like electricity runs down a wire.
Like
yeah.
Spider-Man spewing out the spider web.
I mean, yeah, totally. And it doesn't help either that depending on what kind of body of water, be it lake or stream, more so the activity is around running water. So river, stream, creek. Bleh. Sorry,
Mhm.
Midwest creek. You have that. I'm from the Midwest and I got falsies in. Leave me the hell alone. So you have that water and it will conduct the energy, but even more so here throughout the Midwest because you have limestone deposits.
Oh yeah.
That is a conductor as well. So you have all of that energy pushing through, and you have from South Carolina all the way across the southern Midwest into the mountain regions into California. I mean, that's prime Indian territory.
Oh.
If you look at a map, and I'm not saying all Indians, because you know how people will be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Not all Indians. The majority of tribes.
Yeah.
You had northern tribes, no doubt at all. Cherokee, Cheyenne, Apache, Hopi. If you look at territory, all across the southern Midwest is where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, and like I said, you had other tribes up north, but not as prominent. I think personally, from looking and whatnot, that is the case where, you're building these houses on burial plots or burial mounds or whatever, and you're
Big
having,
mistake. Yeah.
you know. So I think that, I don't know, we just need to be better.
Isn't Skinwalker Ranch Indian land too? And that's why there's a Skinwalker?
It is in Arizona. Skinwalker, it was Felicia from Boonville, Indiana, is from that area. She's a co-founder of the team that I'm with. And she was talking about Skinwalker, and apparently the Hopi Indian and another tribe, I don't remember who she said, but one tribe, the lore is that one tribe created the Skinwalkers to defeat the other tribe, and that's kind of how they started. And I would have to get the lore on it, but I mean, in a nutshell, and in a rudimentary explanation, is one tribe was pissed off, made the Skinwalkers to go kill the other tribe.
Jeez.
And they were located in this one area. But I mean, shit, they're still having problems with Skinwalkers out that way. I think, I honestly don't know if there have been Skinwalker incidents further east than that. That would be interesting to try to research and see if that was a case. But
seems like I've heard of it, but not often. No, I was just going to say, seems like I've heard of them a sprinkling here and there, but not very much. It doesn't seem very prominent.
Maryland has Goat Man. Lots of people have seen this Goat Man. So that might be what they interpret as a Skinwalker. I don't know.
Skinwalkers, the basic way to identify Skinwalkers is they can change different forms. So it could be a goat man, it could be a walking werewolf,
or the Mothman. The Mothman from was it West Virginia? The Mothman.
Yeah.
It could be a 10-year-old girl.
Oh god.
Comes to knock on your door with her little sister. I've seen this video and it scared the shit out of me. And I've been like, somebody
talking about it.
But they were like knocking on the door and they were smiling all eerie and their eyes are all black.
Oh God, I hate the stories of the black-eyed children.
Yeah.
These were not children. I don't give a shit what anyone says, but you ain't coming to my house. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, full black-eyed, and they're grinning real funny, and they're, let us in.
Oh my God.
They can't come in unless you allow them to. You have to invite them in. Same way with a lot of weirdness and creepy stuff. That's why I don't mess with the Ouija boards. Did you see that meme I posted of the Ouija board? The carpet that looked like a Ouija board and the Roomba. It's all fun and games until your Roomba summons a demon. I don't mess with any of that stuff. I don't know if there's anything to it or not, but I don't see any point in taking a chance. So, but I've heard that the really bad stuff, which I think is rarer than a lot of people seem to think. But unless the really bad stuff, it has to be invited in.
Yeah.
Or it cannot get to you unless you let it. So
there was on Grizzly's show, he had a psychic lady. That's part of. We do the every 2 weeks. We do a cold cases with psychics and stuff like that. She's a new lady, but she's worked with police, and she calls her Ouija board like a psychic board. She changed the name, so it's a Ouija board, but she uses it for good. But I just don't. She's like,
Huh?
no, yeah. She's like, no, you'll eventually use it. I'm like, no, I won't.
No, I'll
Uh,
pass.
leave it
Yeah.
alone.
I've heard people call it the spirit board, you know.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah,
You know, the thing
I'm
is,
good.
the thing is, now I'm not a proponent for using a Ouija board either. But you have to know how to use it.
Mhm.
You know, Mattel, of course, they marketed it as a toy. You know, this thing, it's just a toy. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah.
Somebody just froze.
Oh crap!
Myself. Oh,
You're
I'm back.
freezing. Well, your
I'm
voice is okay. There you are now.
Or have
Yay!
I started talking weird shit, and look what
Stop
happened.
talking about that stuff. I'm telling you, we got.
You just got to know. You got to know how to use it. You've got to
That you got to close that door that you open.
Yes.
You can't just leave it open. You got to close it when you're done.
Right, because they're waiting to jump in. They definitely are waiting.
I just. We'll have to watch this back. I just heard an EVP.
What? What did it say?
It was a whisper. It was a woman's whisper.
And she said,
It was at, I would say, at 56 minutes into the show.
"Oh, okay. Well,
So current until 57 and a half. But I mean, I'm having some weird shit happen tonight. You see me turning around looking. I swear to God,
yeah.
I thought my dog was growling. My dogs are in the bedroom with the wife.
Oh
I
god.
thought I heard someone do something around the Christmas tree. There's no one in here but me. See,
You might want a sage.
nah.
I'm in my little special room. Lala, I want you to come over sometime. You and Bob
I would
come
love
if
to.
you're if you come to Indiana, you got to come visit and come in my special room. Girls only, good vibes only.
I love your room. It's beautiful.
This room is where I've seen. I recorded that orb that flew behind me and flew around my head.
Oh, cool.
I was getting ready to do a show. It was before we started this. I was getting ready to be an interviewee on a show, I think, and I was making sure all my stuff worked. And I didn't have my camera on, but I could see I had my camera up on the screen so I could see my positioning and whatnot, but wasn't recording anything. And I saw it fly behind me and around my head. And I'm like, oh, come back. And I'm scrambling and, so it reminded me of those little orb things that I see you doing in the bedroom and they're flying around your hands and stuff. I just had one though, but when I asked it to come back, it did. That was cool. So I know sometimes these gifts and these things that happen to us, I feel are generational,
Mhm.
and you have mentioned that your father was gifted in some ways and that you felt you got some from him. And my mother has had weird experiences. And also my father was very psychic. And my children have had strange experiences when they were younger. And I think my youngest child is, he has a speech problem and everything. He's 43 years old now, but I think he's psychic. Does your son show any signs of having inherited the gifts of the family?
Yeah, he right now, what I've noticed, he'll have morning dreams. So when he was little, he woke up screaming that a snake was trying to eat him. And later that day, we went out in the backyard, and where we lived, we had little garden snakes, maybe nothing 6 foot. I mean, there was a 6 foot huge black snake that went right past him.
Ooh.
He ran towards me, and he knew. And I have warning dreams too. I know he kind of thinks it's not really cool right now, but
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 14.
Oh yeah, this is definitely not cool.
Yeah. So I'm just letting him be a kid, and I'll talk. I try to say some things here and there, but for the most part, I just let him do his own thing. But I have noticed that he does have an orb that follows him around everywhere, and it's the same size. And I know it's his dad, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
nice, So I've taken a screenshot, and I tell him gently. He still has a hard time talking about his dad,
Yeah.
but at least he knows that he's there,
Mhm.
and he's got a little picture of it. So
That's always comforting. I've lost, I know more dead people than living at this point in my life. So it's always comforting when I know they're, around. It is very comforting.
yeah.
I want to make sure that I mention that you are a fantastic artist.
Thank you.
I've seen, as she actually painted my hand in March, and I was really did not want to wash my hand, but
No.
with COVID and everything, you finally had to wash it. I was trying to do it just the bottom side because I didn't want to wreck the painting. It was so pretty.
Thank you.
But you paint, you do parties and things like that as well, right?
I do face painting and balloon twisting, so I'm an entertainer. I usually work birthday parties, but I work corporate. I've worked twice at the White House, so it all depends on who hires me. But I love it. I've been doing it about 6 years now.
When did you discover that you could do that's not easy. And your stuff is so beautiful. When did you discover that you could do that? And how did you come about that?
My son wanted to be a skeleton at school one Halloween. And so I went on YouTube and I got the stuff and I looked it up. And then later on, I loved it. I fell in love with it. But later on, I took him to a Halloween festival and I noticed that the face painters sucked and they were charging a whole lot of money. And I was like, I can do better than them and charge less and make a living. And so I did it. That's how it ended up happening.
That is awesome.
But
she is like the drag. She does so many different things, and everything she does it well. I love that last line on your thing. I'm going to get a T-shirt with that says "Future Ghost."
I love that. It's true,
We all are. And I'm gonna my granddaughter just this weekend said, "Grandma, when you die, you're gonna haunt a bunch of people, aren't you?" I said, "Girl, I got a list as long as my arm." And she's like, "I know you do." And she said, "Just don't haunt me." And I said, "I'm not gonna haunt you. I'm gonna be around you. I'm gonna be your guardian angel." She goes, "Well, just don't let me see you." I'm like, "I won't." But I love that when I saw that future ghost. Okay, I got to remember that.
Yeah, I tell, you can tell spirits, hey, it makes me nervous when you show up. Can you just talk to me or send me pictures? So they're very smart. Spirits, aliens, energy beings, whatever you want to call them, they're all very intelligent. A lot of people don't realize that they can read our thoughts, our feelings, and that most of them do care and will try to be helpful. That's what I've learned this year. Like if I get scared, they'll back off for a little bit. And it blew my mind. I didn't think that they would do that. So
one of the things I always wondered about, I'm a widow and then, remarrying, and you get into a relationship with another guy. And then, and I thought about it when my parents passed away, about, can they see me when I'm in the shower? Do they see me when I'm doing stuff? Or I'm, having relations with my new love or something. Are they all just like standing around watching? I mean, or do they elevate them? And I don't know. I'm hoping in my mind they have, since they've shed their mortal coil, they have elevated themselves beyond the 3D physical needs of the, and they're like, oh, okay. I've never had an opportunity to ask a psychic before. Do they watch?
Okay, so most of them don't, especially parents or grandparents. They'll go away, right? but there are a few that stick around. I mean, I had a friend pass
Bastards.
away, and I was doing something. All of a sudden, I hear his voice, and he starts singing a song in my ear, and I stopped everything. I was like, what are you doing? So they still like mess with you, or they watch. It all depends on their personality, really. But for the most part, they leave you alone. So
I've been watching the new series on TV called Ghosts. That's kind of the American version of the UK version of the Ghost, and now I'm watching the UK version of the Ghost, which
UK version is awesome.
I actually like it better. But
Yeah.
they're all like standing around and trying to. That one old crazy woman, dead person, she gets in the bathtub and lays in the bathtub while this dude's taking a shower, and I'm like, oh God, I hope they're not doing that to me.
Right.
But
Well,
then you know what? If I was a ghost, I probably would do shit like that just because I was bored.
I'm telling you, they're the same. They're just invisible, pretty much. They're the same person. Yeah, but just
What's
make sure you say, "I need privacy. Come back when I'm done."
I always wondered, because they're on that next plane, they're mostly the energy, and would it almost be like looking through, say, like an infrared camera, where you see you see the hotness of the person, you see the outline of the person, that's for lack of better
But they
term,
can't.
it's their essence, their energy, so that spirit sees your energy and knows who you are, but not necessarily your physical body.
Well, let's hope so, because nobody wants to see this,
Yeah,
dead or alive.
you told me that. Didn't you say a spirit told you that they see you as a ghost, just like we see them as a ghost?
Yeah, I was wide awake too. That was the most bizarre part of it all. I mean, I was not even close to being asleep. I was taking a walk, and I kind of think I slipped into that alpha state, when I was walking, because I was just kind of like grooving and feeling my feet in the air and the sun on my face, and all. I got in this different headspace, and all of a sudden I hear this guy in my ear, and he tells me that where he's from, I look like a little ball of white light floating around in the darkness. But and some are brighter than others, and I'm bright.
Yeah.
And then he said, but he goes, I look like a little ball of white light to you from where you're at. But he said, really, where I am, we all look just like you. And I'm like, wow, once
Right.
again, I blew a fuse up there. I don't know why these things happen. I've been involved in the paranormal UFO community for over 40 years. And it wasn't until recently that I heard this term downloads, which I'm sure you probably know, are aware of. I think I had stuff like that happen to me all my life, and I think that might have been something like that, or maybe even in that case, maybe a direct contact, but it's like in the beginning it was physical, and now it's turning more metaphysical, and stuff like that's happening more and more to me. And I think I heard somebody say recently, oh, abductions are down. People aren't reporting abductions anymore. I'm like, well, I don't know about that, because I get letters every day.
Right.
People may not be talking about it publicly, but there is definitely some kind of a shift going on. So,
Oh yeah.
excuse me while I wipe my nose.
It was the download. That was just a simple.
I went download and everything just went. Anyway, see, I'm not right. I don't know why you even wanted to come talk.
I love it. We're very similar.
We are. I'm telling you, I told Greg, I said, I just felt like a kinship with her when I met her. I just felt like I knew her already, like I recognized her.
Yeah.
I do that with a lot of people. I did that with Greg. Greg and I clicked right away. I still think that we were like brother and sister in another life or something.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
I
I
There's-
just threatened to slap him in the next week right before we came on here.
That's love. That's
That
family
is
love.
real love. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Just like you said, Lala, we're
Wow.
all attracted to each other. We're all drawn to each other.
I miss my mother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's in our life for a reason, for a lesson. Whether it's good or bad, it's some kind of lesson, you know.
I've heard people say that, I believe in reincarnation in a kind of a way. And I've heard people say they think that we all come back in little pods, little clusters, the same 6 or 7 souls,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's true. Do you think you believe that as well?
I do. I think, well, I would assume maybe you make best friends as souls with somebody and you say, hey, I want to live these lifetimes with you. You know, I could see that with my parents. I'd want to relive, and my son, I'd want to relive a lot of lifetimes together. But there's some people I need to change the contract about and be like, you're
I know.
done. We're moving.
Right? This is a one and done here. We ain't going back. There's been times when I've thought, okay, who did I piss off?
Right.
And how do I get out of this?
The thing about that is, and we've talked about this, I don't know how many times Deb and I have, where I think that there's no doubt that in some way, shape, or form, her and I were related some way in a past life.
Mhm.
I could have been her dad. She could have been my mom, my sister, my brother, vice versa. I mean, any 100 million multiples of whatever of a relationship. There's no coincidence that we're speaking right now. There's no coincidence that my group of people their souls have always been with me in one shape or another. I mean, even my ex-wife, in some way, shape, or form, that hefty heifer is following me around throughout lives. My son could. There's that connection. I mean, that inner circle is the inner circle.
We are never going to be a serious podcast. I don't want to be, actually.
Hey, I call it like I see it, and
Right on.
well, I mean, I could have said worse.
Oh no. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it.
Like, yeah, and then I think there's lessons that you need to learn throughout this lifetime. I think, you have to attain a certain. Let's just put it like you have to attain a certain enlightenment before you can move to the next level. And I think that's why my dad is my dad now, where in the past life I could have been his dad.
Mhm.
I didn't learn what I was supposed to learn, so I had to go back and do it again.
Mhm.
You see? So I think in that aspect that's why I think that we're all connected and will always be connected in one shape or form.
Oh yeah, a lot of people think we all go back, like we're all one, but go off in little as different people, but we're all really one person. And a lot of people think we go back to source. So there's a bunch of different things. I don't know. I think it's all really interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I have feelings about it, and I feel connected to everyone, even the people that I don't like. I feel some kind of a connection, and I'm always, I'm the kind of person that looks for the best and the good in everybody. That I know there's got to be. Sometimes it's pretty damn hard to find, but I know it's in there somewhere. So
Deep in there.
but anyway, also you mentioned the organ. I went to a conference, I think in 2017 maybe, and was one of the last places I spoke at before I met you earlier this year. And I bought one of those Oregon pyramids with stuff in it. I tried to understand what the lady was telling me about how they work. How do you make those?
First off, whoa, before you explain that, explain what it is, because I don't know.
Okay, I suck at words, so just bear with me, okay? A scientist created this. It was originally created to help people with sexual energy, but he tweaked it along the way, and it started healing people, helping people with EMF, so they'd be protected, stuff like that. He actually got arrested for carrying his organite over state lines. He died in prison, so it works. Yeah, and so it is equal amounts of resin, quartz crystal, and copper, and it has to be a certain way. But it's like quartz crystals in watches. I mean, it's a big conductor, and copper is a big conductor. So I mean, a lot of it, in the beginning I made it ended up being like pretty art, but eventually I got the measurements down, and you can feel it. I mean, you can test it with those. Well, it's not an EMF. Maybe it is an EMF detector. I don't know, but you really can test it, see if it works. It's very interesting.
Now, you said it has to go in a specific order. Is that per person? So, like, my order would be different from Deb's order, would be different from your order, or is it bottom line? This is how it's done. There's no deviation.
So how it usually is done for the organite pyramids is that it's a quartz crystal, a larger one, with copper wrapped around it, and the copper is angled a certain way throughout it so that it's conducting. And then you make layers of crystal shards and copper shards, or shavings, whatever you call it. And you keep doing that. Now you can make it colorful with the resin and stuff. And you can use different crystals for different frequencies or whatever you need healing with.
Okay.
But the crystal and the metal hitting each other does something scientific. My brain can't explain it for you guys. I'm sorry, but it really, really works.
Okay.
But they have something called, what is it, Cloud Busters, where it's kind of like an organite, but it has, what was it, Shangnai? I don't know. It's a black powder that the Russian government actually uses for creating certain things in their labs. But this is like helpful too, and people put it around the corners of their houses and like by telephone poles. I mean, it really messes with the electricity and the wires, and they don't have as many headaches, which is interesting.
Sort of blocks the EMF from affecting you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully I explained that. Sorry.
No, I got it.
Oh, yeah.
I understood it. That's cool. I want to see. I'll have to go and check out more of your stuff.
I'm sorry, Deb.
No, go.
I was going to ask, you have those on your website?
What's that?
Do you sell those on your website?
I do. Yeah.
All right, I got to take a look at it because now my interest is piqued.
Yeah. Do you ever custom make? Do you ever custom order?
That's mainly what I do is custom make. I'm making one for someone now, and his main concerns that he wanted, it was his heart chakra and his throat chakra. So I'm trying to make something for him. Now it does take like a week and a half because it's got to dry and there's layers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I can use different crystals for whatever you want, protection or healing or whatever. There's someone that came for grief, so I made one about that. I mean, and certain like purple is a nice color for grief, and I try to make it nice. And I believe in it. I found out about it after my dad passed. he would mess with my phone a lot and turn it on, and it would be on a website. And one night it was on Organite, and I knew it was him telling me. And so I got into it, and that's the only reason I found out about it. So,
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. My interest is piqued.
I'll make you guys one.
That would be
Ooh,
awesome.
that would be awesome.
Just tell me your favorite colors in Messenger, because I will forget. So,
Yeah, I was attracted to it. You know how when you go to a conference, there's always a vendor room.
yeah.
And every time I've ever had an opportunity to go, I go into the vendor room and I just kind of quiet myself, and then I walk around and I see where I get pulled. I just go wherever I'm pulled to. And I got pulled to a big table with all this stuff on it that was turned out to be that Organite stuff. That's why I bought this little pyramid thing. It was the only thing I could afford. But I've never tried to put my K2 meter against it. I might try that one day just to see.
Hell
You
yeah.
should, yeah. There's a man on YouTube that makes them, and there's someone that comes and does scientific tests with what he makes. So there is proof on how you can do it and what to look for, how to make it. So
it's cool. That is awesome. She does so many things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I could try to pinpoint one, but let's just do that. What else do you do?
I tap dance.
Nice.
I'm trying to get more into paranormal again. For some reason, ghosts still kind of scare me a little bit. I don't know what that fear is. I guess maybe they're more emotional and I pick it up, because aliens, they're very business-like. But I'm trying to get over that fear, and I want to start going on adventures and getting proof and talking to people. But I just, I want to be very, very careful in doing that,
Yeah.
Because then
See,
I come home and Bob will be freaking possessed when I run that thought.
See, that's how I do it. That's the best way to do it. Whatever you're afraid of, if you want to conquer that fear, then you face it and learn as much about it as you can, because knowledge is power. That's why I joined MUFON whenever I had all that stuff going on in the 80s, because I wanted to learn more about it. I didn't know much about it, and it was definitely having a big impact on my life. So, and I learned a lot when I was in MUFON, and then I got pulled towards the paranormal, and so I went with that. And I got so irritated with one of the guys. We were doing an investigation with once. Some of the young kids, we had something happen. We had some banging on sheet metal. We were sitting up in a attic and like a rafters in this old thing, and the sheet metal started banging, like somebody was like banging, and we were sitting right next to it. And a couple of people jumped up, started squealing, and ran out. And I'm like, where the hell are you going? Get back here. This is what we came for.
Right.
Why are you running away? My heart was beating faster, but I wasn't scared. I was intrigued, and a little bit shocked at first, because I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
When I first started going into it, I knew things happened because we had stuff happen in our house my whole life, but I'd just never been anywhere where it happened anywhere else.
Right.
So it's like first time, it's like, oh, look, yeah, I'm not crazy after all. My family's not crazy. It's just, well, they are, but
one of the first things that I would, if I was giving advice, one of the first things I would say is have a competent and thorough researcher, so you know what kind of location that you're walking into. You know the activity. I mean, and I'm assuming like you would technically be like the lead investigator or the founder, because me as a paranormal investigator, I only want to know the minimal amount of information
Right.
of location, other than, if there's some bad juju going on, tell me about it and I'll decide when I'm ready to come out.
Right.
But most locations, you've got a haunting of the old man that lived here. You've got I'm conducting an orchestra with my screwdriver on my desk. Or an old lady was moved out of this house and she'd lived here for 60 years and she passed away in a nursing home. Now she's back at the house.
Okay.
Stuff like that. 85% you're looking at residual hauntings where it's just somebody playing a movie and putting it in forward, putting it in reverse, putting it forward, putting it in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Your intelligent haunts, they just want to be, most of them want to be just be acknowledged.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Oh my God, he can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes they like to tell you they like pickles or
Gurgles.
gurgles. It's just, I have never, I digress. I've had one time in the 20 years that I've done this that there's been something nasty in a house, and no, it wasn't a demon.
What happened?
It was just an asshole spirit. It was scratching people, making people.
Yeah, that's the thing you got to be careful of.
Yeah, I mean, little things like that. But as long as your researcher is solid, no worries. You don't have anything to be afraid of.
Well, listen to this. Grizzly has a group of UK ghost hunters come on his show, and they said they go to this one old mansion, and two of them, no, the one lady got scratched, and then her husband, something happened that he got hit in the head with a rock. It's pinpointing those two out of the group, right? And they said I think there's 5 or 6 of them, and they all said they saw something that looked like a goat head with, I don't know, it was a dog with a goat head and yellow eyes. And
Yikes.
right. And they're drawn. They've been like 12 times. They're drawn. They keep wanting to go back, but some of them get really sick. Some of them get hurt. So I'm wondering, is that a demon? Or is it just a lost, angry spirit?
I can't say because I've not been there.
And sometimes the asshole spirits will try to make you think they're a demon, but they're not.
Trick you think that they are. Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's like claims of activity from someone else are their claims of activity. I can't 100% say yes, it's a demon. No, it's not a demon without actually being there in the location myself and being able to investigate it and get evidence that, my claims of activity, does it jive with your claims of activity?
Mm-hmm.
But for me to try to speculate, I think does a disservice to paranormal investigating in a whole, because I'm not there. I didn't see it. I don't know.
I'm excited that you want to get more into the paranormal side because I love it here. I mean, I've been a UFO girl all my life, but the paranormals, there's a connection.
Yes.
Somehow, somewhere, it is connected, and I just, like I said, I want to do an investigation with you one of these days. It would be
love
so awesome. Is there anything that you would like to share or talk about that we haven't hit on yet? Because I've been all over the place. Squirrel.
I like it that way. I have ADHD, so this is perfect.
Yay!
I guess the last thing I have a question about. My friend collects haunted dolls. Have you guys experienced that?
Greg hates dolls.
Hold on. Now let me explain. General dolls don't bother me. Old dolls, equal antique dolls,
Yeah,
equal
that's what he has.
TVs, equal antique houses. You are a complete and utter moron. If you go to these places and you buy some dead person's shit out of an antique mall
Right.
without knowing that you need to either bind it, cleanse it, or just burn it in the pit outside.
He's
But
very emotional about.
no, I mean, this antiquers piss me off.
I don't
because
like antiques myself. Anyway,
80%
they
of
all
the
smell
time,
Yeah.
weird.
80% of the time, those are the ones saying, "Hey, I got some paranormal activity going on, and I can't explain why." Well, it's because your ass went to the antique shop and got that 1897 gunslinger belt, and all the people that gun shot and killed are pissed off, and they're following that gun. Now they're haunting you.
Right.
I know when with the last investigation Greg and I did at the Davies house, they had these old dolls all over the place, and he walked into the one. He goes, "That fucker needs to get going right now."
Well, I'm not a big proponent on trigger items on an investigation.
Yeah.
You know, depending, I mean, I don't think I hate to say this because I'm going to sound like a dick, but I have enough experience. Deb has enough experience. We don't need to use trigger items when we go into a location.
Right.
When
You
we
know?
walk in, they know we're there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, and I swear to God, Lala, it's not being arrogant. It's just that energy that we put off when
It's
we
attitude. You got to go in with that attitude. You got to get that frame of mind, that
You gotta
aura about you.
walk in and not be a dick.
Yeah.
It's just like if I was to be mean to you, you wouldn't want to talk to me.
Right.
I have enough respect for you to say, "Hey, how you doing? Great to see you." Other than, "Hey, fuck you, get the fuck out." You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
a lot of investigators, they don't get that. It's like they'll go in with a shitty attitude, or they'll go in, they'll just have an argument with their significant other. They'll just, just have a whole just shitty day and have no business being at that location in
Right.
that mindset. But we go into a location and we sit upstairs and we talk about farts. Or
That's how we got that Gurgles EVP that was so perfect.
it is. We
Oh,
talk about pie.
Old girl was drinking a Dr. Pepper, got me all bubbly, and I started laughing. I burped real loud, and I'm like, "Well, it's better than the other end." And we were laughing about that, and I'm like, I called myself Gurgly McGurgleson. And I mean, this EVP literally almost stepped over my final word, and it's like she got right up into the microphone and went, "Gurgles."
Oh no, she was more happy about it. She's like, "Gurgles."
Yeah, I got gurgles. Greg, he sent me the EVP. He's like, "Oh my God, listen to this."
It was the clearest
'Cause I-
EVP I've ever
It
heard.
was like she was sitting in the room right between the two of us, and she stuck her mouth right down to my microphone.
Amazing.
That's how loud and clear it was. It was unbelievable. I'm like, "Are you sure that wasn't me?" And I'm like, "That can't be me because it doesn't sound like me, and it's speaking at the same time I'm taking my last breath of my
Yeah.
speaking."
You were
Mhm.
talking and it talked over you.
And there was nobody else in the house except the one dude down at the base station.
There's 3 of us there. One
That
at
was
base
it.
station and Deb and I upstairs in the attic.
So, you know,
They
did
like
some really good stuff.
and they
Mm.
like pumpkin pie and they like pickles.
Hmm.
We got all those.
Well, you know, my dad, when I did smoke cigarettes, my laundry room was connected to the back door with the porch. Anyway, I used to lay my cigarette on the edge of the washer, and when my dad was alive, he would sneak up and sneak a puff because my mom didn't want him to, and so he'd put it down. When he passed, my cigarette would roll across the whole edge, and I was like, "Oh, you're trying to get a puff even now, aren't you?"
Do you ever smell smoke out of nowhere?
I smell his pipe tobacco. I do.
See, I used to smoke also. It's funny, we're all former smokers. Everyone in my family smoked. And I, every now and then, will get a whiff of cigarette smoke,
Yeah.
just clear as a bell. I even asked my doctor one time, is that some kind of manifestation going on in my brain? Some memory, just kind of pops in my head. And he's like, I don't think so. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, you're just crazy.
But it is, and there's no one around me that smokes. No, but you know what I mean? So that's interesting.
I smell my mama's cigarette smoke and I smell her perfume. She rides in my back seat a lot.
That's
Mhm.
good.
Mhm.
See, how can you not be excited about this stuff? You know what I mean? How can you not be interested in this whole thing and be excited about this when it's so I mean, it just don't you feel like the world is so much bigger than we see
Oh yes.
with our eyes and ears,
Yeah.
And isn't that exciting?
It is. It's not as lonely,
I know. I want to go there. I mean, wherever, not necessarily with them, but I want to be able to slip back and forth. Maybe I do. I don't know.
I would like to find a way to a portal. I don't know that we could go back and forth. I know they can, and they're
Well, what are your feelings about mirrors?
okay. I
Gotcha.
Okay.
how do I politely? Okay. They freak me out, but I think they are a portal or gateway. If you use them for that, it will definitely work.
Right.
They call it scrying, I believe.
Yeah, we have a huge mirror in the bathroom and the bedroom, and I got to pass each one. Every time I got to pee 500 times in the middle of the night, I got to pass these things. And I'm like, all right, no, I'm not looking just in case. Because I feel them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's just, and I don't know about you, but I know it makes me feel kind of crazy. But I can still,
That doesn't bother me.
it's like the opposite world. It's like the upside down is in the mirror.
Yeah, it's true.
Shut up, Greg.
I have never, ever, ever experienced anything with mirrors other than that one Davy's house.
I have.
I've not seen anything. It's not fallen over. I don't have 7 years bad luck.
I walked into a bathroom one time and I was the only person in that bathroom. And, there was a row of mirrors in front of the row of sinks. And I walked up to the sink. And when I looked up, it wasn't me looking back.
Oh, see,
And
that's
I was like, whew. And then when I looked again, it was me.
right.
But when the first look was not me.
I've never had any.
It was a young blonde girl, like white hair with blue eyes and a bright cobalt blue turtleneck, like top or whatever. And she was standing right where I was standing. And I was like, oh, damn, I must be asleep. And I rubbed my eyes and I looked back again and it was me. And I've had freaked out over mirrors ever since then.
It's just dimensional.
What?
What if it's just dimensional?
Mm-hmm.
Like that person that you saw is actually you in another dimension.
Somebody else said that you're seeing yourself in another timeline or another life or something.
We don't
we don't. Nobody knows. We don't know.
I want to be a hot blonde that's skinny in another dimension. That's not fair.
Well, I know. Then I saw me again, and I'm like, oh, it's me.
Well, I mean,
oh, damn.
Why would I change anything?
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
Look at his face.
Yeah. We're weird. Yeah, I know. I love it.
That's how we roll, though.
That's how we roll. We're just
okay. Like when you're doing readings, okay, how hard is it to? And we're kind of running long. Are you good on time?
We don't want to wear you out.
No, is this live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're doing reading, look at Deb. God damn it.
Shut up. Will you
How
talk?
hard? I mean, I've had a lot of exposure to psychics.
Okay.
I mean, a lot. And I think I'm pretty good at putting up a barrier.
Okay.
But for those that aren't, and then again, I don't know. I might be just like an open book. And like, what? But do you have a hard time getting past that wall? Like somebody, what always pisses me off is that super skeptics go to psychics and then be like, "Read me, bitch." What? You just
Right.
paid me. You just paid me $35 to try to be a dick. Okay.
Right.
Now you kind of see where I'm coming from. Like,
Yeah. So when I got with Bob, a lot of his friends, government friends, regular friends that I didn't know would get readings from me as a test. And I didn't know that. And I would pass and they'd be like, oh my God, she's real. So it's some now, if they don't believe, it all depends whether they believe or not. It all depends on how blocked they are as a person. If someone's really really down or depressed or angry, it blocks me because all I feel is I get pissed off and I don't know why, and that's
yeah,
so then I have to bring that up. I realize, oh, this isn't me, and I go, are you angry about something? And when they talk about it, it releases, and I can move in towards where I need to go. um I really haven't had too much trouble. My main issue is I doubt myself. You know what I mean? I've always had that issue. And I mean, I have a ton of people that can say that I gave a good reading. I got the name of whoever passed and this and that and what they looked like. And I still have that in the back of my head, like, well, maybe I'm just guessing really good, you know? So I have to work on that.
I do that when I'm trying to remote view. I've been trying to learn how to do that for years, and I, what is it? My buddy, my remote viewing, who I look up to for it, says that my monkey brain takes over, and I have to shut that off. I have to make it be quiet, and I
Right.
don't. And sometimes I don't write something down because I doubt myself.
Hmm.
And then it turns out exactly what the target was is what I didn't write down because I thought, oh, you don't know what you're doing. So I
well,
totally relate to that. I know you talk about remote viewing too. You dabble in that as well, right?
I do, and so Semi and Hines taught us, Bob and I, and he said if you start getting in your way, write it down so your brain can have that moment of control, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
then go back to the things just imagining. Even if you think it's wrong, go for it. And what's good validation is these every 2 weeks the psychic cold case thing that we do. The Angela Ford's in it. She's a really good psychic. She worked with the government. Um, we kind of do remote viewing. We have to try to find the bodies of these people. And it's so we just get a picture of the person and we get together and we all take turns live on the show. And it's validating because what I say that I've seen from this picture of the person, every other person sees the same thing. And it just blows my mind. It's you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
nice feeling that
Don't you think humans are so magnificent? We're capable of so much more than we realize. Some of us are more aware than others, I think.
yeah.
But excuse me.
yeah, I think going back to being in your own head about it. There's not a person. There's not a psychic that I've ever talked to that doesn't do that. doesn't get in their own heads when they're giving a reading and it's like, I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's almost like a subconscious self-sabotage.
Right.
Being, your left brain is telling your right brain you're stupid, and the right brain is going, no, this is how it is.
Right.
You know.
So many different topics that we could talk about for hours and hours, and because and I love it. But
I'd like to come on again sometime if that's
it'd
okay.
be great. Oh my gosh, yes. Because
This was nice.
we could talk all night.
Book it, Deb.
Hell, me and Greg, whenever we don't have a guest and we are just doing this between the two of us, talk all night.
This was fun.
We get 2-hour shows with just the two of us too.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
No, it's not.
No, I mean, yeah, you got to come back. We got to delve more into it. I want to talk more about remote viewing. I want to talk more about, your mediumship, and how you feel like you've grown over the years and whatnot. Is there anything that you would like to tell our listeners in parting? Or anything that you just want to say or speak about before we go, because I gotta pee. I do this every time. I do this every time.
I guess if anybody needs someone to talk to, they can find me on Facebook. It's Lala Bright. I'm a good listener. I've heard literally everything under the sun. I'm not going to judge at all. And the people that are just learning about all this stuff, just keep an open mind. You're not crazy. And keep listening to shows like you guys. This is very helpful to a lot of people, and it's nice because it's funny, but it's informative. So it kind of has that approachable aspect to it. I like that.
We're just a couple of regular folks out here in the Midwest that have a lot of things interesting happen to us, and we're interested in a lot of things, and we're interested in a lot of people. We like to talk to people and see where they're at, and we all help each other.
Yes, absolutely. And if anybody wants to buy, I like sushi. If you want to give me a gift card, no, I'm kidding.
There you go. Don't forget about your orgone, the pyramids, your face painting, and your balloon twisting, and all the other fantastic stuff you do. Your readings.
Thank you.
Right. So you guys go out to lalabrightllc.com and you can they can connect with you through the website, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
There you go, you guys. Yeah. Connect with her, and I'm going to go out here in just a little bit. I'm going to look for you on Facebook too. So,
okay.
I'm the middle-aged old guy that'll be sending you a friend's request because usually those are from stalkers. Just a heads up, it's me. So,
yeah, and also I post all of my videos and pictures of the proof that we've experienced. You don't have to be a friend to see it. It's open to the public. So that's kind of, some of it's really neat. So
yes. Yeah. I see it all. That's why I love
thank
it.
you.
All right, you guys. This has been Midwest Paratalk Radio here on the Midwest Paratalk Radio Network. Remember, catch us on YouTube at youtube.com/MidwestParatalkRadio.com. We're on Podomatic. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, blah, blah, blah podcast. We're on everything.
Everywhere. Everywhere podcasts are uploaded. We're there.
We're there. We're there like a rash. But anyway, well, remember, you guys can come back with us here next Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on the Midwest Paratalk Radio Network. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll see you guys next week.